Hi everyone, this is Anna Ramos, and I'm really excited to share one of our speakers for the Health Speaker Series for the week of March 22nd to March 26th. This speaker has a really awesome story that I'm excited to hear, and I know that all of you will have an awesome time listening to and learning from. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Aaron Parnell, who will share his story, and then at the end we'll have a little bit of a Q&A, and he has a short treat for all of us. So, Mr. Aaron Parnell, if you would like to go ahead and get started with your story, you are on the mic.
Well, I want to thank you very much first for the invitation to speak to your kids, your young people, and I can really appreciate how important it is to have a great role model. And I'm grateful that I had one role model who came to visit my school once, and it just opened my mind that there's a possibility that one day I could be a health professional who was successful. And so I'll tell you my story. At age 15, I was the weird, nerdy guy who none of the popular girls had much time for. I wasn't fast enough to run track. I wasn't tough enough to be in a gang or play football. I had a job selling shoes at the mall. Now, at the beginning of the school year, they would have an official photographer, and the school photographer would take everybody's photo, and then we would get the photos back and exchange photos with everybody. And we'd give pictures to our favorite friends, but none of the pretty girls would give me their school photos. So I bought a Kodak Instamatic 110 camera, and I started taking my own photos of the girls I thought were cute. Now, before long, I had a collection of most of the cute girls at school, except for one, the beautiful Vanessa, who for me at age 15 was more beautiful to look at than Rihanna, Naomi Campbell, or Beyonce put together. However, she did not want me to take her picture at all, and she was serious about it. After about 6 months into the school year, I got up the nerve to run up to her, take her photo, and then get out of the way before she could say anything. It was a Thursday. And by the following Monday morning, I had the photos back from my developer. On my way to school that morning, I saw my friends, and they would say, "Hey, Aaron, Derek, he's looking for you. That guy named Derek, yeah, he's looking for you." Now, I don't know how you guys do it today, but back in the day, whenever somebody said looking for you, it was never good news. He was a senior. He was one of those guys who would lift weights in the quad during lunchtime. And during lunchtime that day, it was Monday, I'm sitting on a garbage can eating my burrito for lunch. And I turn around, and what do you know? I saw the muscular, tough guy, Derek, walking with the beautiful and very wounded Vanessa. The taste ran out of my mouth. I couldn't swallow. As I watched Derek take his shirt off, flex his chest, start cracking his knuckles. "Aaron Parnell, this is my cousin. And when she said she didn't want her picture taken, you should have known it wasn't over." I quickly started looking for this photo of Vanessa. I had her negative and I had the picture with it. As my life is flashing before my eyes, I could feel my hands trembling as I looked for this photo. I didn't know if I was going to cry, but this was definitely not the time to be defiant or be defensive about anything. I gave him the picture, and I didn't know whether I was going to throw up or pee in my pants. A crowd of about 15 people are surrounding us. They're all ready to see the 10th grader get his face beaten in by Mr. Muscles. It was tense. He looks over at his cousin and says, "Well, Vanessa, do you want me to hit him?" He cracks his knuckles again. She waited for what seems like 5 minutes. She looks away. She says, "No, I want him to say he's sorry." And I think I said, "I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I promise." I must have done it about 10 times, 10 different ways before they left. However, in the following weeks, Mr. Muscles would see me in the hallway, and he would flex in front of me to see if I would flinch, see if I was scared. But I never flinched. I was terrified though. And finally, after weeks of being afraid for my life, to get my face beaten in by this 12th grader, I decided to take matters into my own hands and shoot this guy. Only I didn't own a gun. So I went to my next door neighbor. And my next door neighbor, Leon, he's 25 years old. And he had just gotten out of prison. I knew he had a gun. So I went to his house with the intention of borrowing his gun for a few minutes so I could shoot Derek on the way to school. Leon was cool. He was tough, street smart, and wise. He also had friends. I told Leon the whole story about what happened at school. And after listening to me for about a few minutes, he said, Aaron, I'm not loaning you my gun. That ain't you, man. And then he didn't mince words. He's let me tell you how popular a cute little skinny boy like you will be in prison. And he didn't mince words. By the time I finished listening to this very graphic story about how the inmates just welcome the new kids into prison, I concluded that I'd better find a church to belong to because God does not want that to happen to me. And I wound up finding a really great church to belong to, which also led me to having a great education at a good Christian college. I got an education that helped me find the path where angels would guide me on my way. And I experienced academic excellence for the first time and entrepreneurial resilience. And if there's anything that you take away from the rest of this dialogue today, it is this. You were put on earth for a good reason. You were meant to change things that will change the course of history for yourself, for your family, for your community, for the country, and the world. And the more skills you have, and the more experience you have, and the more knowledge that you can apply, the more things you'll be capable of changing and improving throughout your life. And the world will be a better place for it. One day, while working in the shoe department at the mall, a little old lady came in and I was trying some shoes on her and she said, "Oh, it would sure be nice to have a foot massage." So I started massaging her feet. And I got so much positive feedback from her that I started massaging everybody's feet. I actually wound up becoming one of the top people in salespeople in the company. But by the time I got out of high school, I knew that I wanted to do something where I would work with people to improve the quality of their life. Something preferably in healthcare, but no blood and no emergencies. So by the time I started college, it took me a while to choose a major, but I decided to major in physical therapy. And in order to be a really good physical therapist, I took massage therapy classes off campus after school and on the weekends from a good friend and a fellow classmate. Her Swedish mother taught her Swedish massage. And I learned from her and several other body therapy instructors for about 2 years. All the while, I'm in school studying academics for physical therapy. After 2 years of physical therapy academics, I decided that chiropractic might be a better fit for me. So I went to chiropractic college in Hayward, California, instead of going to physical therapy. Concurrent with my academics at Life West Chiropractic College, I also started to build a clientele of athletes who were training for different events. I was making money helping athletes doing something I love to do, which is helping people get the best out of their bodies. And after 4 years of academics in physical therapy and chiropractic, I had also had, by then, 5 years of experience working with athletes, some of whom were world-class athletes trying to get into the Olympics hosted in Los Angeles. And I came across a book called Sports Massage, which was written by Jack Maar, the official masseur of the 1980 U.S. Olympic equestrian team. And I was so excited by this book that I called him up and I said, "Hey, Jack, I really loved your book. It's really great. Thanks for writing the book." And we talked for a few minutes. He was an older guy who was kind of angry that he'd missed his shot to go to the 1980 Olympics because the U.S. had boycotted the Olympics because the Soviet Union, where they were hosted, was also trying to take over Afghanistan at the time, and the U.S. objected to that. So they boycotted. Then I talked to Jack, and he shared with me a few ideas, and then he said something that changed my life. He said the Los Angeles Olympic Organizing Committee was looking to recruit a sports massage team to serve the athletes for the 23rd Olympiad. It had never been done before, but this was the opportunity for Los Angeles to put on a great show for the athletes from around the world. Only Jack didn't want to do it because it was just too much trouble for him. I get the phone number from Jack and I say, hey, listen, give me the phone number. I'll call this lady myself and see what I can do. And so I called the lady who was responsible for recruiting just 35 of the best massage therapists from around the country. There were over 2,000 therapists applying for these 35 positions. I had less than a 2% chance to be on the first Olympic sports massage team for the 1984 Los Angeles Olympiad. Now, who wants to know what made the difference for me being in the top 1.575% of the sports massage therapists in the country? I thought you'd never ask. The answer is, it's the hustle, determination, and focus. So you see, I was willing to call the Olympic Organizing Committee 3 times a week for 6 months. I was willing to make it easy for them to choose me because within a week of that first phone call, I got my resume, my letters of recommendation from both my college professors and my world-class athlete clients together. I had my transcripts from school. I was willing to drive to Los Angeles so they could see how fabulously effective I was, and they could meet me. And I was among the first of the therapists to send my resume packet to them by Federal Express, which was in its young years at the time. And when my resume got buried by 1,000 applications and she couldn't find mine, boom, she had another one. I sent her the next day by Federal Express. And when she lost my second resume packet, boom, I sent her a third packet of my resume. And every time I called, I would say, hey, did you pick me yet? Did you pick me yet? Did you pick me yet? You see, there will be few times when you will see an opportunity and you know that that's your shot. You keep your eyes on the prize. I want to say it again. You keep your eyes on the prize. You keep your eyes on the prize and you stay focused on the outcome. You see, I didn't have a college degree. I wasn't that great of a student. I didn't have any money, no pedigree of rich, well-connected parents. I was just a 4th generation descendant of slaves, a Black kid out of Oakland trying to find my way out of scarcity. And I knew that this was my shot. Finally, after 6 months of calling and waiting and praying, I received my letter in the mail. God had answered my prayers. Now it was time to fulfill my dream of being an Olympian, doing something I love to do. And in a New York minute, I was packed and gone. That whole summer, through church connections, I stayed in people's living rooms, I slept in my sleeping bag, and sometimes I even slept in my car. 36 sports massage therapists were divided among 3 Olympic venues. Although we were all qualified sports massage therapists, our techniques were all different, mostly homegrown. I was assigned to UCLA Village, where athletes from 42 countries and 52 sports were housed. By the end of the first week, the word was getting around that whatever I was doing was making a noticeable difference in the performance of these athletes. There were times when there'd be 6 of us on a shift and 1 or 2 people waiting for the other practitioners, and there'd be 6 people waiting for me. And by the end of the summer, I mean, there were dozens of athletes telling me different versions of, hey, this stuff is amazing. You could write your own check if you were in my country. And I got faster, I got better, I didn't get injured. So, and somehow I just knew that I was on to something unprecedented, so that just seemed to open my soul. And that's when I realized that all healthcare education at the time was designed around what to do after someone was injured or if they had an illness. But our job on the sports massage team was to make sure that the athletes never got injured while they were achieving their best in their sport. So I knew that I wanted to help people achieve the best possible expression of their lives, even if they weren't athletes. And I also realized that there was no school, no course of study where I could get a degree in something that would optimize and maximize human performance. Soon after the Olympics, the Cal State University East Bay eventually created a college major called human performance. However, it would have been late for me to change gears to get a degree in something that I was already among the best in the world at doing. And when I got back from the Olympics, my sports massage clients started asking me to take them to the gym and work out with them. And in addition to their sports massage treatments, I also went back to school for another 2 semesters, and then finally decided I was ready to start my career. And just a quick recap. In a 10-year period of time, there were many significant people who set me on the course that ended up with me being a major dude who created a whole new category of science and service that did not exist before. I've written 4 books, over 100 articles. I created hundreds of jobs and developed a body of work that will benefit every branch of physical medicine. I'm grateful for every step and misstep along the way. And after many hard experiences, I have many stories to share about lessons I've learned. In summary, these are the most valuable lessons I ever learned along my journey. Even painful experiences will teach you volumes more than books ever can. Be grateful for every step along your journey. Ask for divine guidance to help you stay the course and protect you, even when you need to color outside the lines and build a future that has no precedence, that catapults you and your family into a prosperous and fulfilling future. For your own sake, forgive the people who hate on you, and because they're the ones that God is using to mold your character and sharpen your skills. When the painful parts are over, take time to reflect on the good things that came out of the tough times. Do not watch the news. Do not watch the news. Don't go places you have a bad feeling about. Don't hang around people who are into activities that can get you arrested or shot or put into the hospital. Don't even listen to music that encourages you to be less than your best. Only go where people are making a good difference. Only hang around people you admire for the contribution they make to the world. Only hang around people you admire to whom you can be a blessing. Be grateful for the people you encounter along the way. Now, if it weren't for Vanessa, I would not have had a close encounter with Derek. If I didn't have a close encounter with Derek, I wouldn't have had a serious conversation with Leon. And if I didn't have that conversation with Leon, I would not have looked to God to show me a brighter future. And if I didn't have a good education and be willing to go the extra mile to take additional classes off campus on the weekends, I would not have been prepared to represent my country on the first Olympic sports massage team. Maybe someone would have missed their chance to medal in their sport. Maybe a young sprinter from Morocco would not have been the first woman from the Middle East to win a gold medal and set an Olympic record in the women's 400-meter hurdles, and then go on to serve on the International Olympic Committee for 20 years. If I hadn't been on the first Olympic sports massage team, I would not have been able to develop the first sports massage team for the San Francisco Marathon. I would not have been able to put together a sports massage team for the Nike Women's Half Marathon in San Francisco and numerous other events. Nor would I have had the insight about the need for proactive healthcare. I wouldn't have needed to own a health center in the middle of Silicon Valley. I wouldn't be talking to you today. And I just want to review my three points. Number one, you have a gift to give the world that only you have. Number two, whether you're special, well-educated, come from privilege or money or not, if you want to be successful at achieving your dreams, you need to have the hustle factor. You have to be willing to color outside the lines, take classes to acquire skills you don't already have, and team up with people who have the skills that you don't have. If it's going to bring you closer to your dreams, you need to do it as though your life depended on it. Be willing to go that extra mile. It's going to make the difference. Be willing to do what other people are too lazy to do. And number three, be willing to tap into your genius and give it all that you have. You know, when I was coming up, we were encouraged to grow up and get a good job somewhere. And I always wondered, well, what's the difference between what I was taught about getting a good job and what my friends were taught, who went to better schools, had better educated parents, or more money? The difference that mattered is that their parents and their community told them to change the world and create opportunities for other people to have jobs so that everybody prospers. As I built my career, I always tried to take on more responsibility than I could possibly do myself. You know, and one of the things that I learned along the way is that for every one of us who achieves success, we have to bring 12 additional people who will also succeed with us. And I'm encouraging you to achieve more and reach higher. Don't just get an education that will make you employable. Get an education and a set of experiences, whether they are paid or for free, that will empower you to build your dreams and build teams of talented people who will support you in changing the world. Albert Einstein was a physics genius. Someone once asked him, what's the difference between talent and genius? And his answer was, talent is the ability to hit a target that no one else can hit. And genius is the ability to hit a target that no one else can see. You see, it's not enough to be the best at something. You have to figure out what makes you the best, teach it to others, and make a business out of it, and learn to scale that business at a profit. I believe that in each one of you, there is a genius who's going to be a genius at something. Follow your heart. And above all, make sure you get a great education, because it's going to empower you to do more things and be capable of making bigger and better changes for the world, not just for yourself, but also for your community, for your family, for the country and the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaron, for sharing that story. It was so inspiring. I'm sorry, did you have something else to share on this slide?
So I actually ran out of my last few pages of my talk, and so I just winged it at the end.
Oh,
So,
that's perfectly great.
so if you know, to Brianna's credit, she did say, Aaron, would you like me to print another copy of your speech? And I said, no, you got it, and I got all the pages right here. And well, in hindsight, I would have had those extra pages, but you know, I said enough, and maybe you have some questions or some observations, some ideas that came up.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to say that it was very inspiring to hear you share your story and share those examples of what happened when you were growing up that made you go into your path, right? That basically led you to whatever was coming next. Even if it was something small that you wouldn't have thought, this was going to lead me to the next thing. So a couple of questions that we have for you are, what exactly is it that you do right now? So what is your exact title? What are you doing right now? You shared that you have a business in the Central Valley. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Right here in the heart of Silicon Valley, there are two things that I do primarily. Number one is that I'm a posture expert, like a physical therapist with a specialty in posture. Although I don't have the degree of being a physical therapist, because I wound up creating a whole new profession that didn't exist before. So I am a posture optimization specialist. That is my title. And I also am a certified somatic therapist. A somatic therapist is a health professional who looks at one thing that you might have a concern or complaint about, or even a goal for, and looks at everything else in your lifestyle, your work style, and even what goes on in your mind that is a product, a byproduct of the thing that you have a concern about. So let's say, for example, if a person says, hey, my shoulder hurts, I'm going to look at their entire body, not just the shoulder that hurts. And I'm also going to be looking at what are they doing in their lifestyle that would affect why their shoulder hurts. If they, so if it's not really obvious. That's one thing. As a posture optimization specialist, what I find is that everything every ache and pain that you have as a physical structural problem is usually a problem with your posture. The bones, we have 206 bones in the body and 637 muscles, and they all are supposed to work together so that the bones do the work of weight bearing and the muscles are free to do the work of movement. And so a posture optimization specialist looks at how that process happens for you. And the result of it is that you have increased sports performance, you have increased productivity at work, you feel good all the time, and you're able to not age because of time, stress, or gravity. So as a posture optimization specialist who happens to also own a 2,500 square foot wellness center, where I share my space with other professionals, such as a doctor of Ayurveda, who's also a doctor of physical therapy. I have a doctor of Oriental medicine and 3 other acupuncturists. I have a massage therapist and 2 chiropractors, all working here in the building.
Awesome. Thank you so much for going into detail with that. How important would you say working or as a team is, right? So since you have this shared space, what kind of, well, one, how important is it working as a team? And what kind of work readiness skills do you think high school students should begin working on that would help them in the future, if they choose a career like this or maybe a different one?
Even no matter what profession you go to, you have to have your heart in it, because if your heart's not really in it, if you just need a job to make some money, then you won't be willing to go that extra mile. And it's the people who go that extra mile to make something happen where the difference is really being made for not only me as a practitioner, but also for an individual and the community you serve. So so I would say that if I'm going to answer your question the best I can, if I was going to start all over again, my hands-on skills would be augmented by some business skills. I'd say that I lost money and I had more painful lessons around the things I didn't know, that I thought, well, maybe if I only had a business degree, maybe I should go back and get my MBA. So I hired MBAs, people with business degrees, and I spent more time teaching them my business than I spent learning from them about how to be in business. And so, there's a phrase that says, when you need to learn something, you wind up teaching it. And so in my case, I wound up learning how my business runs as a result of me teaching other people how my business goes. So I would say as early on as possible, learn how to run a business at a profit. Even if you just have something on the side, you spend this much money, you spend $1 buying a product, and you sell that product for $2, and then what winds up happening is you have a 100% profit. But if it costs you time for the phone, if it costs you time to deliver it, if it costs you time, all this stuff goes into the consideration when you actually realize, how much money you're actually making. And as healers, we have a tendency to not really pay attention to the money, and we pay attention to how good we make people feel or how effective we are in our work. So early on, the thing that I wish that I had a better foundation for is how to keep track of the funds in my business, how much money I'm spending, how much money is net, how much money do I net? Because at some point, you might want to demonstrate that you know how to operate a business at a profit, in which case you'll be able to do more for your community. And there were many times when I went to a banker and I said, hey, I'd like to borrow some money so that I can have a marketing campaign. And they would look at me and say, well, how much money did you make? And how can you show us that you can pay us back if we loan you some money? And because I didn't know how that process happened, there were many times when I've been turned down at the bank. And so I had a lot to learn in that way. If I had to do all over again, I would have taken at least a beginning business math class early in my career when I was taking other classes.
Thank you. And then just for the sake of time, because I know you do have a treat to share with us, and I want to make sure we have time for that. What would you say is your most memorable memory, or the most rewarding thing you've done throughout your career so far?
Oh my gosh, there were so many. I think the first time that I could see that all the time, money, and energy that I'd put in terms of laying down a foundation was when I built the sports massage team for the San Francisco Marathon. And imagine back for the Olympics, the lady was going through 2,000 applications to come up with 35 people. I was trying to go for 100 massage therapists to serve the San Francisco Marathon. I came up with 85. And for me to teach that large a class how to do sports massage in post-event was one of the pinnacles of my career. Even though it wasn't amazingly rewarding, the fact that I did it actually created the opportunity. When the Nike Corporation saw me and saw how successfully I executed that project, they came to me and said, hey, we're starting a women's half marathon a few months from now. Do you think you can put a sports massage team together for us at Nike? And that was my opportunity. And so outside of the Olympics, that sports massage team was my second time. And then I reached so what I did with those two marathons. That's the answer to your question.
Perfect. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate your time, and I know our students watching this and our teachers watching this really appreciate learning from you and learning your story. And maybe one day when COVID is no longer a thing, we can see where you work and what that looks like, and maybe take a lesson from you one day. So that might be really cool one day, when we see what happens when the world opens up again.
Well, even before then, you can go to my website, www.theposturegenius.com, and you can find some of my stuff there. There's even a free workout there. You can do one of my posture workouts, and this one's specifically for your immune system, the superhero startup workout, and just a 12-minute workout just for posture and to boost your strength of your immune system. You can follow me on Instagram. So if you look up Posture Genius or The Posture Genius on Instagram, I'm there. I also have a YouTube page, YouTube/Posture Genius. So, and I'm also on Facebook. So look up, find me Posture Genius in all the places that you can find.
Great. Thank you so much. I was writing that down. Sorry, it took me a second to get back to my
Okay, sure, no problem.
so thank you so much. I'm gonna make sure we write that and add it to our post. So
Okay,
everyone watching this video can go ahead and look it up and then try that workout. I want to go try it after this and see what
okay.
that's like. So again, thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate you. I do want to give you some time to share your special treat with us. So whenever you and Brianna are ready and want to share it, let me know.
Alrighty, and so one of my I write poetry and lyrics, and they used to very often they come up to be a pretty good rap. And remember, I'm sort of a nerdy dude, and with a science mind and science background, I love to talk about science. I love to talk about physics, and and but I think it's fun. I think it's fun and fascinating. And there's also the part of me that wants to be cool and in one day. And so I decided to put this together. I found a song that was played by these guys out of Miami, and so I'm here to share it with you, and we can cut it out on there.
Oh, can we pause it really quickly,
Pause
Brianna?
it, and
Yeah.
because we don't have sound yet. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Awesome.
The posture gene. Could we hear it when I was playing it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then it muted, so I don't know what happened.
The posture genius is a man with a plan to revolutionize healing by the way that you stand. You see, poor posture is a different epidemic. You see it everywhere. It's not only academic. The genius found the answer. He's experienced and wise. It's not a cure for cancer. You must posture optimize. Cause every bone is made to have a different shape and size. You line them up, they'll work for you. That's posture optimize. We posturize me. We posturize me. We posturize me. We posturize me. For 40 years he's honed his craft and wrote his ideas down. So every thought and every draft will prove he earned his crown. More than 50 health problems come with posture that is poor. We need someone to get us to the pleasure zone for sure. The visionary came out strong, he even wrote 4 books. He did the work, he's never wrong, a nerd with good looks. We posturize me, we posturize me, we posturize me, we posturize me. His innovations help every branch of sports and medicine. Throw beauty in there, creative and square. He's a posture Thomas Edison. One day they'll look back and tell the whole story of how the posture genius saved the world with a brand new category. We posturize me. We posturize me. We posturize me. We posturize me. We all need great posture to achieve vitality. The posture genius saves his life for a new reality. The posture genius lives his life for a new reality. The posture genius lives his life for a new reality. The posture genius lives his life for a new reality. The posture genius lives his life for a new reality. The posture genius lives his life for a new reality. The posture genius lives his life for a new reality. The posture genius lives his life for a new reality. The posture
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was such a neat treat. Definitely can tell you like to write, and rhyme things sometimes. So that was really neat. Thank you so much for sharing it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording really quickly.